Hello, homies and newbies. 'Tis I, Blue Shroomy, back again with not the usual content. Today I'm playing Roblox, specifically Blocktails. But instead of playing it normally like any sane person would, since I already did that off screen, I'm attempting Hell Mode. I've seen people play Hell Mode with some friends on Discord with multiple proper strategies. I myself would do the same, but I only know 2 people, and I already know for a fact that they aren't willing to suffer through this with me. And understandably so, I don't blame them. All of this means is that I have to do this challenge solo. Yeah, this was in fact hell. I apologize for the AC in the background and poor voice audio within the gameplay footage in this video. The voice audio is something I'll make sure to fix in the future. So real quick, I'll go over the rules. I had to equip the following cards: Hard Mode, Gusto, Double Pain, and Thrill Seeker. I'll go ahead and explain what each one does before I go onto the journey. Hard Mode gives the player 50% increased EXP, button return enemies deal 2 times damage, and the guarding window is half. Gusto removes the ability to super guard, which is a really huge problem since super guarding lets you take 0 damage if you time it correctly. Double Pain is pretty self-explanatory. It makes you take 2 times damage, so attacks from enemies hit really hard, even when properly blocking. And finally, Thrill Seeker. This card reduces the guard window, which can make guarding attacks from some enemies nearly impossible. All of these cards give a plus 20% EXP gain, so I never have to worry about leveling up. There are 2 other cards I could use, being Thick Skull and TikTok, but I am not using these. Thick Skull just prevents the player from leveling up, while TikTok removes the scrolling health system. You see, whenever the player takes any damage, their health bar will scroll like this. Once it's the player's turn again, it will stop scrolling until they make a move. This allows me to live on a minuscule amount of health when I should have died. However, that's not possible with TikTok. Call me a wuss for not using them all you want, but I don't hate myself enough to use them, and with TikTok equipped, the challenge would most likely be impossible. You will see why later on. Also, shout out to Go Ninja, who made a video talking about strategies against some of the bosses in this game. I wouldn't have gotten past the Cruel King if it weren't for the guide. I had to skip the prologue because I could not get past Nubador with these rules. It's probably just a skill issue on my end, however, but I really wanted to get this video out there, so I skipped it anyways. I'll explain what happened so no one can get left out on the story. I went to a Roblox convention where the creator of Roblox, Dave the Bazooki, aka Builderman, shares news about some fancy features that he plans to add that nobody wanted nor asked for. The man gets jumped, I get yelled at by a very angry penguin with the best name in the world, Tutorial Terry, to do something about the situation. I obtained the ball during all the chaos. It works like the jump from Paper Mario. If you time the attack correctly, you can deal extra damage after the first hit on your enemy. After fighting some cronies, I get sent back in time to 2010. I get a letter from John Shedletsky, an admin who made a Roblox game called Sword Fight on the Heights, or Sephoth for short. I go to the old Roblox HQ to see Shedletsky, only to find him writhing on the ground, getting kicked around by some color-coded children named Red and Blue. Like 4 tries, but I was able to defeat them using a method called Get Good. Shedletsky gives me a wooden sword and tells me to find the Sephoth swords and rescue Builderman. The first sword I had to find was the Ice Dagger. Wait, it's a sword, but it has dagger in the name. That doesn't make sense, but whatever. The wooden sword is similar, but not a direct copy of the hammer from, of course, Paper Mario. It's almost as if this game is heavily inspired by it or something. The action command is different though. There's a little slide meter holding down the spacebar until the moving line is on the green bar to deal extra damage. I don't know how else to explain that, just look at the screen and you will understand what I'm really talking about. I do some exploring, and I encounter Nubador, the final boss of the prologue, with Red and Blue. This fight is when I realized that I had to skip the prologue. Nubador's guard timing is so short and he does way too much damage for me to handle. Whenever he lands certain attacks, he can inflict me with Dizzy, a status condition that has a 50% chance to make me not move at all. Which is just ridiculous, especially at that point. So, on the rare occasion, I lived more than 1 hit, which was extremely rare because this is before I decided to not use TikTok, meaning that I had no opportunity to heal. I couldn't heal even if I wanted to, actually, due to Dizzy skipping my turn. After multiple failed attempts, I decided to just start off in Chapter 1 instead, and moved on into the caves where the real journey begins. In the caves, I already encountered some more issues. Mostly with the stupid Smoky Pines. Yes, that is actually what they're called. They are horrible to deal with, and they reveal some issues I have. Mostly with blocking. It's extremely difficult to get the guard timings properly. It also doesn't help that due to hard mode and double pain, I have the defense of wet tissue paper. But that would be insulting the tissue paper. For example, this is how much damage they do on normal mode. And here's how much they deal on Hell mode. Yeah, the difference is night and day. My main tactic is using Anti-Up. It makes all my attacks harder to land, and if I fail the Asher commands, I will do no damage. However, it makes all of my attacks deal extra damage, so the plan was to kill everything before they can kill me. Which did work for a while, but eventually I had to ditch that plan. But now it's not the time to ditch that plan, especially since it worked beautifully against Supreme Ant, who I kept calling the Ant Queen, for some reason. Anyways, Line Bounce was my best friend in this fight, mixed with Anti-Up, since it can defeat all her little minion ants in a single turn if I timed everything correctly. Which I did because I am the best with hand-eye coordination and timing. Well, sometimes. The sword could be difficult, but after a few power stabs and line bounces, I managed to defeat her first try, which I was not expecting since I struggled against Nubador earlier. I was feeling confident because of this. The journey to Black Rock Castle filled me with even more confidence due to me handling the hungry wolves with ease. I even managed to block some attacks from the eagles. Things were going pretty well. And then bears got involved. I can usually handle the bears if they're alone. It's when they're paired with other enemies that they become an issue. I often found myself running away from fights that had the bears with wolves or eagles together in them. After finding and rescuing a guy named Jim, I finally got my hands on the holy grail of this game, the dynamite. Not only is it needed to progress in the overworld, it's amazing in battle too. For 5 SP, you can deal a flat 5 damage, or 6 with Anti-Up, to any enemy of your choosing while piercing right through their defenses. It's pretty strong and useful. Oh yeah, I also had to defeat the Banished Knight, I guess. It was pretty easy too, nothing to write home about. After using my newly obtained explosives in a totally responsible way, I reached the Black Rock Castle. I thought the sentient statue would be a bigger problem, but with the dynamite, I was able to beat it pretty easily. I'm so glad this guy got nerfed before I played this game. I made sure to get enough bucks to buy one more card, the true savior of this challenge, Defense Plus. Defense Plus just ups my defense. This card actually makes a huge difference since it makes the hard-hitting attacks less painful. Unless the enemy can pierce through my defense. But there shouldn't be any enemies that do that yet, right? Oh my god. After making a mess out of a chef wizard's kitchen and some parkour, I got a new overworld ability simply called Shrink. This ability will be a massive pain in the beginning of Chapter 2, and the Wizard Chef will be important in Chapter 3. But for now, I press on, drop a chandelier onto some poor knights, God bless their souls, or whatever deity is here to bless their souls, gather some keys, and reach the biggest roadblock of the chapter, the Cruel King, who has the ice dagger I'm looking for. He is the final boss of Chapter 1. This boss is the reason why I thought this video would take a longer time to record. I struggled a lot in this fight because I kept dying in 2 hits, or 3 if I was lucky. I tried using Minimize, which has a chance to shrink the enemy and in turn decrease the damage they deal. This ended up being completely useless. Minimize has only a 35% chance to take effect on the Cruel King, so when it didn't proc, it means I just wasted a turn, which would lead to my death. Making Minimize a waste of time and BP. Thankfully Go Ninja, again, shout out to them, showcased a lovely strategy. Fish. A lot of fish. Specifically the Seahorse. Seahorses don't heal you right away. Instead, they heal your HP and SP gradually over 3 turns, which is great for always making sure you have SP. Meaning I had to do a lot of fishing. While I have footage of me fishing in the background, I'm going to promote myself. I'm doing art commissions for Robux, so I can have a less basic avatar. So if you like the art of my thumbnails, or the art I post on my other socials, you can DM me on my Instagram account, or my DeviantArt if you're interested. I'll make sure to give you a link that leads to the game page so you can buy the game pass for said commission. I will also have a link in the description for all my other socials. I would highly appreciate if you checked everything out. Anyways, back to the challenge. Despite having the seahorses, there was still a problem. I kept dying in 2 or 3 hits, even with the gradual healing. My problem was the guarding window being too tight for me. I would always guard way too early or way too late. I realized that I needed more HP, but I was already at the 4th level cap, so I couldn't level up again to increase it. Thankfully, back in Bizville, the main hub world of the game, I could go to the library and reconfigure my stats. I decreased my BP in return for HP, but it still wasn't enough. I decreased my BP too much, making it to where I couldn't equip Defense Plus anymore. So instead of dealing 16 damage to me, the Cruel King would deal 20. So I went back and lowered my SP to increase my BP, so I could re-equip Defense Plus. I also made sure to equip HP Plus, which gives me an extra 5 HP. Yet again, I died. But I was able to immediately recognize the problem this time. My regular healing items are awful. I needed better healing so I could keep surviving the attacks. I looked at the items Go Ninja had for emergency healing, and they had a cookie and a lot of trout, which heals 10 HP flat. I got a pizza from Jim after talking to him back in his home at Road Town after helping him out. An item that heals 50 HP, which is what I used to substitute the cookie, and then did another fishing montage. Used up all my money to fish up trout, and then I was ready for another round. The Cruel King hits like a freight train. It could freeze me with the ice dagger, dealing heavy damage. He could also call in for some help and hide behind his guards like a coward. He can even heal himself in his guards, though it's only for 2 HP, so it's more of a mild annoyance than anything else. I immediately used Dynamite for some quick DPS, then ate a seahorse, which still doesn't feel right, but I had to do what I had to do. I failed at a few blocks because I sucked at that and kept eating fish. I always took out the guards as quickly as possible, since they can pierce through my defense and deal heavy damage. My method of taking them out was to hit them with a power stab, followed by a regular sword attack. They have a defense of 1, which lets them deflect the ball attack, so I couldn't use that. This always dealt enough damage to take them out in 1 turn, since I was able to attack twice per turn. I'm still not sure why though. The moment I got enough SP, I would toss some explosives to deal a guaranteed 5 damage. At first I thought this specific attempt was over. I was low on health, and so was the king. I was so close and yet so far. But I got lucky. He didn't summon any guards and instead just attacked me normally. Due to the rolling health mechanic, I hung onto 1 HP. My health wouldn't lower any further until I made my move. I used this opportunity to attack and defeat the boss. While I did collapse at the end, I still won because the Cruel King fell first. I'm gonna do it! I'm gonna do it! I'm gonna do it! Yes! I did it! And so, the Cruel King turned into snow as I held the ice dagger in my hands. This meant that Chapter 1 was complete. So far, this challenge has actually been really fun. I've had to use items I never fully utilized before, and it forced me out of a build I'm comfortable with. Yeah, the beginning was frustrating for me, but once I got past that, I was fine. Chapter 1 of this challenge took me 2 hours, which surprised me. I thought it would take 4 or maybe even 6 hours instead. As I turned the game off, I realized something. It's not my destiny to finish this challenge. I have proven to myself that I have the stubbornness to do this, and it's now too late for me to turn back. I'm both excited and scared about the chapters ahead, especially for Chapter 3. I don't know when the video for Chapter 2 will come out, since I haven't started recording it yet as of me writing the script. I also want to wait until Art Fight is over for me to continue playing on the series. But yeah, until then, just chill out and enjoy yourselves. See you guys next video, whenever that happens.